This installation that I'm working on, still some parts of it is still not completed. Yeah, but anyway, it's trying to understand where to begin with this story. Um, in the Bible, there is the story about Herod, and he is trying to, you know, get rid of this brute that was going to come into the world, and he said he'll get rid of all the young male. So that was a genocide. And trying to understand, that whole, like almost like all of this, um, making a kind of full kind of circle, you know. So in the same way how that whole story, kind of turns itself round and round like that, the elements of this piece in a way is the same thing, how elements of it came together from so much different kind of places and people and things like that, you know. So it's really is dealing with genocide, and it's not not discussing, connected with the what happened with Nazi Germany or what happened with Israel or what happened with Hamas and all of that. It's about the genocide itself. What it is that spurs it. So in this piece, the story starts from 1903. I think it was 19 in that period as such, where Germany went into Namibia and the indigenous people, they, went to take the land and they chased them out into the desert. And it was the very first concentration camp of the 20th century, good, with the Namibian people. And they organized who they sent out into the desert and to die from starvation and poisoned the wells so they couldn't get water. And those that they managed to capture, they put them onto Shark Island, which was the where they had the concentration camp itself. Shark Island, really, you understand, you couldn't swim to get away because it's Shark Island. So they had them there and they started doing the experiments on them. That is why in present day there's so much of the skulls that the people are asking, Namibian people asking to return these skulls from Germany, because I think it was about 2,000 plus skulls they have there from experiments that they did in Namibia. So that story of that is interesting, that it just follows on and it comes down into the man who was doing those experiments. I can't remember his name offhand right now at this moment, but he ended up teaching this other younger man about doing these experiments. And this younger man name is Mengele. So Mengele learned from his teacher from Namibia. And Mengele went on to do the experimenting on the Jews um, during that Holocaust. So in trying to understand this whole, and what happened from there now, the Jews have now gone into, they ended up being in Israel, and they now are the one who perpetuating a new set of genocide with the people of Palestine. But what is interesting that the Hamas, they went into Israel and created another genocide. There's 1,200 people that they killed. So it was just this story of this genocide, and following genocide. And it's interesting that the story, well, if you look at the bottom there, you'll see the nativity scene. And this is in Jerusalem. And presently in Jerusalem, you get some of the same thing happening right now. And I think before this whole thing is sorted out, much more people will be killed in Jerusalem and Bethlehem, in that area, you know. And that is the nativity scene. We're talking about just as the same thing that is happening with genocide. It is understanding, you know, what it is that happens, or what it is that connects things and make things happen, because this part that you're seeing here, it is from a projector from that period, 1900, early 1900. It was German, and this projector would have been. This is just a part of the projector. I had the whole projector. This projector would have been seeing when the genocide was happening in Namibia. They would have been sending photos to the army in Germany to look at what was happening and what it is they were doing. So this came into my hands, many years ago, and not knowing how it is I'll, use it in what piece of work, what's going to happen, how we're going to connect it. But I was doing a workshop with Fulbright students from America, university students who had come over for summer school. And I was talking about apartheid. And a friend of mine came in with this lady to see what it is I was doing. And while I was talking, as after they came to me and said, the lady said, well, this really, really touched her. What is I was talking about apartheid, you know. And she said, I'll have something I'd like to send for you. And my friend bought it about a year after, and it was this nativity scene. And she said, what it has happened is that these came from her parents. And her parents, we went to South Africa, was living in South Africa, and they sent, the pieces came from South Africa, and most likely it was when apartheid was happening. But interesting is that her parents was experimented on by Mengele people. So I was talking about genocide in what was happening with apartheid South Africa. She came into the room, and her parents, had experience, on what it did to them as such, connected with the experiment on them, on her both her mother and father. So these pieces just started coming together, and me not knowing what story I was going to tell, and this is the story. And now before I open this part of it, the law part, which I kept covered, I am going to say that it's not complete because this section is showing some burnt T-shirts and some blood-stained or made to be blood-stained of what's happening in Palestine. Not complete yet because circling this would be photographs of Jewish people who against what it is happening in Palestine and what is happening in Gaza. So it will be surrounded with these pictures of Jewish people who standing up to protect and standing against the genocide itself. So that piece is not yet complete. So it wasn't about choosing or debating who was right and who was wrong in any of these situations, but understanding what it is elements that bring this to happen. And you will see this angel here in red, which will belong to the nativity scene, but that is the angel of death. So the piece is called Spirit of the Angel of Death. And Angel of Death was the name given to Mengele in the Nazi who did all the experiments. So it's more thinking about the why it's called the spirit of the angel of death, that this thing that is happening that continue to, come down through generation, through ages, through different countries. So I'm more looking for when I put it on show for a Buddhist person to talk about it, to maybe put it in some kind of perspective because I don't know, you know, don't know how to express that itself. I just bring the pieces together. And because I didn't want to do it like, oh, this is what happened to, you know, the Palestinian people, genocide against them, or what happened to the Jews, but looking for a deeper understanding about ourselves, our human nature, what it is, this continuation of this um, bloodletting